Islanders Hockey, WEPN, New York. A Good Karma Brands radio station.
Now on SportsCenter all night. The passing of an NFL Hall of Famer.
Franco, for all the superstars, was about the most humble, decent, kind, giving. You know, he was much more than this brute of a running back.
Carlos Correa and the Mets make a deal.
It's shocking on so many different levels, and I'm sure that other owners in baseball are also waking up going, what?
The Yankees name a new captain.
I want to be remembered as not only a great teammate, but a great competitor, a friend that they could count on, someone dependable that this fan base can rely on, for the next 9 years and in the future.
Plus, we get you ready for the Jaguars and Jets face-off on Thursday Night Football.
I give Jacksonville a huge edge at quarterback in this game. Trevor Lawrence has been one of the best quarterbacks in the league over the last few weeks. Zach Wilson is still finding his way.
This is SportsCenter all night.
He owes you a drink. How much was that drink? You saved the drink.
Here's Jay Reynolds.
SportsCenter all night. ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, Sirius XM Channel 80. It is the season for making merry, isn't it? It's been a struggle, though, for the defending NBA champs this season, particularly on the road. And in the midst of those struggles, another curveball got mixed in. The Warriors, of course, losing Steph Curry to an injured left shoulder. And then came this week's cross-country road trip to New York City.
Steve Kerr says, look, these aren't must-win games. We're just trying to climb out of our early season struggles, and it just got a lot harder to do so without Steph Curry. But right now, we have a unique and important opportunity for everyone on this roster to self-examine the way that they've been playing, what their role is.
That's ESPN's Kendra Andrews. Tuesday night, the Warriors wound up being blown out of Madison Square Garden, losing by 38 to the Knicks. Wednesday, over to Brooklyn to face the Nets. Different borough, similar results.
Durant lulling the baby to sleep. Shot clock down to 4. Durant lines it up. Oh, yeah! 91 points and a half.
Ryan Eagle, Yes Network. Yes, the Nets put up 91 in the first half, third most and a half by any team in NBA history, and they weren't done.
Back in Durant. The fade is good. Kevin Durant from every possible angle.
Nets with a 30-point win over the Warriors, 143 to 113. Brooklyn recording season highs in points, field goal percentage, three-point field goal percentage, and assists. Nets had 10 players make a three-pointer, tied for the most by any team in a game this season. And, oh, by the way, the Nets have won 7 straight, longest active win streak in the NBA. How about if we include them in the list of teams now that could contend for a title? ESPN analyst Kendrick Perkins says, let's not get crazy.
Look, have they been playing great basketball of late? Yes. Have they bought into Jacque Vaughn's system defensively? Yes. Has Kyrie been available? Yes. Has the role players played better? Yes. But they're not a title contender. You know why? Because they can't beat the Bucks, and they definitely can't beat the Celtics. But I will say this. I got to give a lot of credit to Claxton. I have to give a lot of credit to Royce O'Neal and Steph Curry and the young fella Cam Thompson. They have been playing exceptional basketball. Jacque Vaughn trusting those guys. He's getting the best out of those guys. And I will say this. What happened to the saying that KD and Kyrie said that, quote unquote, they didn't need coaching, like they could basically police themselves? Well, they do need coaching. And Jacque Vaughn has done a hell of a job of actually being a voice and taking the leadership of that locker room.
Nets on Wednesday with a 30-point win over the Warriors. Golden State trailed by 40 at halftime, largest deficit at the half by a defending NBA champion in NBA history. Second defending champion to lose consecutive games by 30 points or more. The other team being the Bulls in April of 1999. As for the Knicks, who blew out Golden State on Tuesday, they ran into an individual buzzsaw on Wednesday.
Thad Young inbounds to Siakam. Pascal gets away from the pressure, straight down Main Street, straight at the rim, lays it up and in. +1. He's got 51 and a free throw coming for Siakam.
Sportsnet 590 The Fan. Pascal Siakam, 52 points in the Raptors' 113-106 win over the Knicks. Toronto snapping a 6-game losing streak. The Knicks' 8-game win streak comes to an end. And that's why the Nets now have the longest active win streak in the NBA at 7. Pacers a 117-112 win over the Celtics. 5-point victory after the Pacers led by 20 at the end of the first quarter and by 28 at halftime. Celtics have lost 3 straight for the first time since a year ago December. Celtics are 1-5 in their last 6. Jason Tatum with 41 in the loss. In Atlanta, Hawks and Bulls tied at 108 in the closing seconds.
Down near sideline above the three-point arc with Bogdanovich on the ball. Io holding and looking in play. To DeRozan, turnaround jumper left corner for the win. No, put back at the buzzer. Got it! Bulls win. Io Dosunmu with the putback. The basketball gods love the Bulls. Io Dosunmu has won the ball game.
It's his first career game-winning buzzer beater. In fact, it's the only points he scored in the second half. Came on the final shot that won the game, as you heard from Chuck Swirsky, our buddy on 670 The Score. Bulls, third game-winning buzzer beater in the last 2 seasons. They're tied with the Kings for the most in the NBA. Trae Young, 34 points in the loss for Atlanta. SportsCenter all night, ESPN Radio. Week 16 of the NFL getting underway tonight. The Thursday night matchup between the Jets and the Jaguars. This weekend also includes the Raiders and the Steelers, marking the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception.
Last chance for the Steelers. Bradshaw trying to get away. And his pass is broken up by Tatum. Picked off. Franco Harris has it. And he's over. Franco Harris. And a deflection. 5 seconds to go. He grabbed it with 5 seconds to go and scored.
Kurt Gowdy calling the iconic play. AFC playoff matchup. Steelers were down 7-6, facing 4th and 10 from their own 40, and 22 seconds left in the game. And then that happens. Steelers win. Franco Harris picking the ball off his shoestrings and takes it in for the game-winning touchdown. Franco Harris, Hall of Fame running back, has died at the age of 72. Steelers coach Mike Tomlin.
This organization, this community, the football world, we lost a great one in Franco Harris. And so obviously we're all heartbroken, but we do look forward to honoring him and his legacy this weekend. And obviously where our attention needs to be is on the preparation required to put together the type of performance that's fitting of a great man like Franco. I'm an advocate of giving people their flowers while they're here. And I meant what I said yesterday. You know, I just admire and love the man. So much to be learned from him in terms of how he conducted himself, how he embraced the responsibilities of being Franco for Steeler Nation, for this community, you know, for the Penn State followers. He embraced it all and did it with such grace and class and patience and time for people.
Franco Harris ran for more than 12,000 yards, won 4 Super Bowl rings with the Steelers in the 1970s. But he leaves a legacy well beyond the football field and well beyond the Immaculate Reception, which is immortalized in a statue at the Pittsburgh airport. ESPN's Brooke Pryor spent time with Harris on Tuesday, just days before the big anniversary.
What I learned about Franco is what I've heard about him my whole life is that he had time for everyone. That included me yesterday for 15 minutes when we actually met up to talk about that statue that you referenced at the airport. He told me about the plaster that they put over his face, how when they removed it, he lost some eyebrow hairs and some beard hairs. And he laughed. He said, "That's okay. They grew back." And when we finished talking, there was a family that was standing nearby, Dad Brian and his 2 daughters, Mimi and Reese, 15 and 11. And they said, "Hey, Franco, would it be okay if we got a picture?" And he said, "Sure, but what do you know about the 1970s? And he proceeded to quiz them. You know, Reese said, "I think my mom was born then." Dad said, "Yes, I was born then too." And he just talked with them about the Steelers' history and the history of the play itself. Not only that, he talked to them about how those 2 girls played golf and tennis. He relayed to them how he learned to play golf when he was at Penn State. And as I was standing here, a gentleman named Ed, who works for American Airlines, showed me a selfie he took with Franco at the airport about 2 years ago, and he said this is a really sad day. And today in the locker room, Cam Hayward echoed those sentiments.
I can't say enough about the people he represented and the people who got a chance to meet him because, I don't think they're just putting anybody up in the airport. Franco was the guy. And for as many accolades as he got, he always deflected to so many other people. It was a pleasure to just meet him. And the way he went about respecting people after him, I thought was, incredible. It could be one of those things where, I won and you got to do it my way. He always welcomed everybody. And he always had the utmost respect for every player, every person in the city. I know you guys can attest to this because, there was just a level of just humility when you talk to, Franco, and, we lost a good one there.
The Steelers still have all of these things planned this week for the Immaculate Reception anniversary celebration. Things are obviously in flux with this devastating news this morning. And at halftime, as of right now, it is still scheduled that the Steelers will retire Franco Harris's jersey number, only the third number in Steelers history to be retired.
Franco Harris had 8 seasons where he topped 1,000 yards rushing, including 5 times while playing a 14-game schedule. Franco Harris was 72. SportsCenter All Night ESPN Radio. In addition to the Steelers-Raiders this weekend, there are other games of note in Week 16, like the Eagles and Cowboys. Dallas coming off the walk-off loss to the Jags. Eagles coming off their win over the Bears. But in that game, quarterback Jalen Hurts suffering a sprained shoulder. ESPN Eagles reporter Tim McManus.
After surveying the locker room, the general expectation is that it will be Gardner Minshew under center on Saturday against the Cowboys. But they know better than to rule out Jalen Hurts completely. As one teammate said, he is pushing to play, so we'll monitor that situation. But if it is Minshew, the confidence level in him is high. One teammate told me that he's been crushing it on scout team this season. Getting the ball out lightning quick has really what has stood out, and that's because, in part, he's had to. He's been working behind the second unit offensive line against one of the best pass rushing groups in the NFL. It's really sped up his game, and the thinking is that once he gets behind the starting offensive line, it'll get that much easier for him. Whether it's Minshew or Hurts under center, teammates feel like they're in good hands.
Jalen Hurts did not practice Wednesday, second straight day he's missed practice. For the Cowboys, it means their preparations have to be all-encompassing as they prepare for the offense. Coach Mike McCarthy.
We got to be ready for either one of them, but it's definitely a very tough package to deal with. I mean, we're not putting in a bunch of new schemes because based on who's playing, we're not going to change our fundamentals. We're not changing our techniques. I mean, it's about guys playing together and playing at high speed together and fight through the adverse moments. Because, this game, so much of it comes down to big play production. And at the end of the day, it's, this time of year more than ever is really comes down to the fundamentals. And that's where our focus is.
And of course, the Cowboys have been facing questions given what happened last week and how they've played overall recently. ESPN's Ed Werder.
Dak Prescott considers Saturday's game against the 13-1 Eagles a chance for the Cowboys to make a statement about themselves. And to be honest, Prescott made it clear that nobody covets that opportunity more than the Cowboys starting quarterback. Not only did Prescott miss the first meeting between the division rivals because of thumb surgery, but he's thrown the most interceptions in the NFL since returning. He has 10. They're not all his fault, but he accepts they're all his responsibility. He's had an interception in 4 straight games.
When you're in a rut, I guess you can call this, as I've talked about, whether one way or another the other team's getting their hands on the balls. I can't allow that to change the way that I'm playing this game. I'm not going to allow that to change my confidence in myself or my confidence in the guys that I'm throwing it to or the way that I approach this game.
What should be more disconcerting to the Cowboys, the performance of their defense, which has become a liability the past few weeks. After leading the NFL in sacks most of the season, the Cowboys now rank second behind the Eagles. In fact, the Cowboys have just 1 sack over the past 2 games, and the player responsible for it missed practice for the second time. Coach Mike McCarthy says Micah Parsons has an illness. At the Star in Frisco, I'm Ed Werder, ESPN.
Cowboys, Eagles on Saturday. One more Philly win, and the Eagles wrap up the top seed in the NFC. The Eagles, meanwhile, have the NFL's best record at 13-1. Now they lead the NFL in invitations to the Pro Bowl games, 8 Eagles making the NFC team on Wednesday. 5 other teams are sending at least 5 players. 7 members of the Cowboys and Chiefs have been invited. Ravens and Niners, each represented by 6, and the Vikings have 5 players who made it. The NFL, of course, opting for a series of events that will include multiple skill competitions and a flag football game this year instead of the traditional Pro Bowl game. Going to Cali? I don't think so. Paraphrasing LL Cool J. That's next. No relation. I'm Jay Reynolds. Sports Center All Night continues at ESPN Radio.
This is Keyshawn Johnson from Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Wishing you a happy holiday season from all of us here at ESPN Radio.
This is Sports Center All Night. Yes.
On behalf of Vivid Seats, let's get one thing clear. There are sports fans, and then there are real sports fans. I'm talking about the know every player, every play, every score, and every game sports fan. Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN, believes real fans deserve a ticketing platform that not only makes it easy to find great deals on great tickets, but also gives valuable rewards all season long. Like a free 11th ticket for every 10 you buy, or a 100% buyer guarantee that your ticket will be as legit as your love for the game. It's about time there's a ticketing app that supported you as much as you support your favorite team. And now, it's here. Download the app or visit vividseats.com now to find great deals on the tickets you want, all while earning the rewards you deserve. Get $10 off your first $100 Vivid Seats purchase with code RADIO. That's RADIO. Make up for lost time and get to the game. See vividseats.com/rewards for rewards program terms and conditions.
You wash your hands, you brush your teeth, but what about the nose? How do you clean your nose? With Navage. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril, around the back of the nose, and out the other nostril, flushing out allergens, mucus, and germs. And it's why cleaning your nose, the body's air filter, is the next evolution in daily personal hygiene. People try Navage for lots of reasons. Sinusitis, colds, allergies, snoring, things that make it hard to breathe through your nose. But over time, they find that cleaning their nose makes them feel better, a lot better. Over 3 million Navage users have written more than 100,000 reviews, averaging 4.7 stars, saying, best product I've ever used, and amazing, I love my Navage. Navage helps you breathe better, sleep deeper, and snore less, but the biggest payoff is improved health. Navage is good personal hygiene and can help you stay healthier. At Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E, clean nose, healthy life.
The all-new Weekend Wager comes to 98.7 ESPN on Friday nights at 10 p.m. It's presented by BetMGM Sports. Don't be left out of the action.
Sports Center All Night continues with Jay Reynolds.
All guests are on the Dr. Pepper call-in line. Sports Center All Night. All Night Nation Dr. Pepper line was flooded with news on Wednesday. The stunner from baseball that shortstop Carlos Correa would not be signing in San Francisco after all. Instead, he's becoming a member of the Mets. ESPN insider Jeff Passan.
The San Francisco Giants thought that there was a problem with the medical review that they had of Carlos Correa. After that, Carlos Correa had a choice. He could either try and renegotiate with the Giants or go and see what was able to be found out there on the open market. And in the afternoon, Scott Boras, his agent, got in touch with Steve Cohen, the New York Mets owner. And over the course of the next 6 or so hours, a $300+ million contract was negotiated. It took the Mets spending on this offseason to $806.1 million and took the Mets projected payroll for the 2023 season to $495 million. If these numbers sound big, it's because they are. They are bigger than anything we have seen in baseball history, either in an offseason of spending or in a projected payroll. The Mets are in uncharted territories at this point, and they have a new third baseman in Carlos Correa, provided, of course, that he passes their physical exam over the next couple days.
Some eye-popping spending by the Mets, ESPN's Buster Olney.
A $380 million payroll. To put this number into perspective, the luxury tax bill for the Mets in the upcoming year is going to be about what 10 to 12 other teams are going to have for their total payroll.
Good Lord.
Okay? That's where the Mets have taken the spending. For Mets fans, long-suffering Mets fans, it is a dream. For other owners, it is the nightmare that they feared when Steve Cohen was first considered to be an owner of the New York Mets, to have someone come in, richest owner in baseball, basically shove everybody aside and say, I'm going to do what it takes to win.
In New York, Correa gets 12 years, $315 million. Sports Center All Night presented by Dr. Pepper. It ain't college football season without the delicious taste of an ice-cold Dr. Pepper. The one fans deserve. Bowl season continuing Wednesday, Western Kentucky, South Alabama, bowling in New Orleans, and a fairly one-sided affair.
Reed's pass, it's backward, and it goes to Malachi Corley, who throws a pass to the end zone, and it's caught for the touchdown by Jalen Hall. Unbelievable. Western Kentucky, 20-0 on a 25-yard pass play.
Western Kentucky rolling over South Alabama, 44-23. You heard it here on ESPN Radio. Mike Corey, Forrest Connolly have the call for us. Mike.
Thank you, Jay. Western Kentucky with a big win tonight, 44-23 over South Alabama. And they got it done right from the start tonight, didn't they, Forrest?
They absolutely did. They drove the ball down the field, and that was a precursor to what we would see all evening. And they were, as advertised, a very powerful, very dynamic offense.
They scored in under 2 minutes, it seemed like, every drive here tonight. Austin Reed at quarterback, the graduate from St. Augustine Beach, Florida, the transfer out of West Florida, came in here tonight and was 36 of 55 passing for 497 yards and 4 touchdowns, and he dished it out all over the place.
Well, when he came into this ball game, you look at all the pass attempts he had coming into this game, 548. I thought that was a misprint, but then you saw how fast they were going and how efficient they were, and I realized that was the truth. That is who they are.
677 yards of total offense tonight, the 5th most total yards in 104 seasons of Western Kentucky football. Pretty amazing. 3 wide receivers and Malachi Corley, along with Jalen Hall and Dalvin Smith, all went over 100 yards receiving tonight. They combined for 4 total touchdowns, and they win it by the final of 44-23. For Forrest Connolly, I'm Mike Corey, right here on the exclusive home of the College Football Playoff, ESPN Radio, and the ESPN app. Let's go back to Jay in the studio.
All right, Mike, 677 yards of offense. Oregon making waves on day one of the signing period. They move into the number 6 spot in the overall class rankings. Alabama, though, number 1 again. 8th time they've had the number 1 recruiting class. How does this one rank? ESPN's Tom Luginbill.
Oh, it's up there. I think it's up in maybe the top 2 or 3. And I know there was a lot about, the Texas A&M class a year ago being the greatest class maybe ever on paper. The difference is when it's an Alabama class, we've seen those classes prove to actually perform on the field. We haven't seen that yet from a Texas A&M class. And had 2 kids, teammates out of Carver High School in Montgomery, Alabama, Coy Rousseau and James Smith, a defensive tackle, a pass rusher, outside linebacker, and Rousseau, both commit to Alabama today. So now Alabama is sitting here with our first and second ranked running back, 2 quarterbacks, the number 1 ranked safety in Caleb Downs, the number 1 ranked defensive end in Keon Keeley, and then they round things out today with Rousseau and Smith. So let's just say the dynasty is not going anywhere for a while.
Crimson Tide with 4 5-star commitments in the class, most of any program. Who wins Thursday, Jets, Jags, or Mother Nature? That's next at ESPN Radio.
Hey, it's Greeny, and it remains one of the busiest football weeks of the year as we get set for the Jets and Jaguars to kick it off on Thursday night. Plus, we're looking ahead to the NBA's 5 games on Christmas Day. It's Greeny, starting 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Hey, Sarah, I'm sorry I'm late. The traffic is crazy.
Yeah, it is. And it doesn't help that gas prices have skyrocketed. I can't believe how much it costs for gas now.
Everyone's talking about how much gas is, but I never pay full price for gas anymore. I just use the free Upside app, and I get cash back for every gallon of gas I buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid real cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yeah, real cash every time I buy gas.
What? That sounds like it could really add up.
I've made around $200 already.
Wow, that's serious extra money. I'm downloading the free Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TANK99 for an extra 25 cents per gallon cash back in your first fill-up. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, to PayPal, or an e-gift card. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TANK99 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus in your first tank. That's code TANK99 for 25 cents per gallon cash back in your first fill-up. Cashback's not available in gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Mornings with DiPietro and Rothenberg.
Buster Olney. Carlos Correa is a Met.
Steve Cohen has approved his owners. Some of the other owners want to hear. When you build your holiday ornaments, you're not going to fill your house with all lights that cover every side. And Steve Cohen goes, I don't care if I offend my neighbors. I want to have the brightest and the shiniest in our neighborhood.
DiPietro and Rothenberg. Weekday mornings from 5 to 8 a.m. on 98.7 ESPN.
If you have ever thought about remodeling your bathroom but were worried it would take too long or cost too much, then stop worrying. Right now, Jacuzzi Bath Remodel has designed a collection of high-quality custom products and perfected the one-day remodeling experience so you can enjoy your new bathroom faster than ever before. It's a worry-free bath remodel from the most trusted brand name in the business, Jacuzzi. A jacuzzi bath system fits in your existing tub space. It's a no-mess installation with an amazing style selection, factory-certified installers, and a limited lifetime warranty. Call 800-717-4599. That's 800-717-4599 right now and get 50% off installation with no interest and no payments for 12 months. Replace that old bathtub today with a walk-in shower for a safer bathing experience. If you have lived in your home for over 15 years, it's time to remodel your bathroom. For a virtual or in-home appointment, call 800-717-4599. That's 800-717-4599. 800-717-4599.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-842-1313. 800-842-1313. That's 800-842-1313.
Every victory over cancer is worth celebrating.
We celebrate every life saved by donating to Save Another.
It may not save my life. It may save someone you love.
Because of all the donations, mine is one of the lives that's been saved.
Life is worth celebrating. That's why ESPN and the V Foundation will never give up. Please give. Learn more at v.org.
The biggest names, the biggest games. They're all right here. This is 1050 ESPN, New York.
SportsCenter All Night continues with Jay Reynolds.
SportsCenter All Night presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance can protect your small business with over 30 coverage options, an easy-to-use mobile app, personalized discounts, and more. Get a quote in as little as 6 minutes at progressivecommercial.com. Discounts and coverage selections not available in all states or situations.
Half-hour headlines on SportsCenter All Night.
Warriors with a second straight blowout loss in New York City, and they now head home for a homestand. Eagles with 8 Pro Bowl selections announced on Wednesday. The football world, meanwhile, continues to remember the life and legacy of Hall of Famer Franco Harris. The NFL, meanwhile, heading into Week 16. Big chunk of the nation's been facing a belt from Mother Nature this week. Thursday at the Meadowlands, no exception. A lot of NFL matchups this weekend will be dealing with adverse weather conditions. The Thursday night matchup between the Jaguars and Jets is no exception. Our ESPN NFL Nation reporters get us set for this matchup. Mike DeRocco with the Jags, Rich Cimini with the Jets.
Trevor Gross looks, pump fake, fires in the back of the end zone. The ball's caught! Touchdown, Zay Jones! The Jags have taken the lead. How good is that? Zach Wilson sets up, flips it, deep right sideline, and he's caught by Uzomah. Breaks a tackle at the 5, into the end zone. Touchdown!
Jaguars and Jets.
Well, the weather conditions are supposed to be terrible. And the last time the Jags were in rain and wind this bad was in Week 4 against Philadelphia in Philly. And Trevor Lawrence turned the ball over 5 times, 4 lost fumbles. So ball security for them is going to be the most important thing. And, Trevor Lawrence told us this week, I'm not going to change anything that we did before, just be more aware of it, maybe do a little wet ball drills here during the week, but he's not going to wear gloves or anything like that. He's just going to basically make sure that everybody puts the proper emphasis on keeping the ball out of the Jets' hands.
It's probably not going to be a great day for throwing the football, so the Jets are going to have to be able to rely on their running game, which quite frankly has been terrible the last 2 or 3 weeks. Bottom of the league, they've just really struggled. This offensive line, which has gone through a lot of injuries, it just kind of streaks to a halt. But Jacksonville's missing 2 guys on their defensive line, so I think this is an opportunity for the Jet offensive line to get back on track a little bit, get things going with Bam Knight in the backfield and Michael Carter. And if they could get some semblance of a running game and control the ball and take a lot of pressure off Zach Wilson, then I think they can win this football game.
Who you got?
When you've got teams that are somewhat evenly matched, I think you go with the better quarterback or the quarterback that's playing the best right now, and that's clearly Trevor Lawrence. So I think the Jags win this game.
The advantage at quarterback and just the hotness, for lack of a better term, of Jacksonville, I think gives them the advantage in this game. There's just something missing with the Jets right now, so I'm going to go with Jacksonville.
Ugly and low scoring. We'll see how it turns out. Jets and Jaguars kicking off Week 16 Thursday night in New Jersey. SportsCenter All Night, ESPN Radio. The Jags, of course, coming off their walk-off win over the Cowboys in Week 15 with the pick 6. Dallas quarterback Dak Prescott says it's just time to bounce back.
When you're in a rut, I guess you can call this, as I've talked about, whether one way or another the other team's getting their hands on the balls. I can't allow that to change the way that I'm playing this game. I'm not going to allow that to change my confidence in myself or my confidence in the guys that I'm throwing it to or the way that I approach this game.
The play of Dak Prescott under scrutiny, and this week That key divisional matchup with the Eagles, ESPN analyst Dominique Foxworth.
Dak Prescott has not been great. But let's be clear. When we all started to believe that the Cowboys were a Super Bowl contender, it was when Dak was out. It was because we were like, damn, that defense is really good. They haven't been that recently. So I think Dak, the way that Dak played this weekend is not good enough, especially if you're not going to get that lockdown defense that they become accustomed to.
Then there's the issue of the other quarterback on the field, or maybe not on the field. The injury to the Eagles quarterback Jalen Hurts missed practice, both of them so far this week, dealing with that sprained shoulder. But at 13-1, the Eagles are 1 win away from sewing up the top seed in the NFC. Should Hurts play?
I don't think he should. There really feels like no pressure to play. To get the number 1 seed, they could win one of these other games going forward. Beating the Saints will be great for them because they have the Saints pick. That makes their draft pick even a little bit better. So that's the game that you should bring them back for. But I'm not as much concerned about how Jalen Hurts is going to feel or perform because quarterbacks can come back off a sprained shoulder. What I'm concerned about is what that does to their game plan. What's made them so special offensively is that they can have a quarterback run-centric offense one week, then a deep pass-centric offense the next week, then short passes the week after that.
See how the offenses can run, change up the playbook depending on who's under center for Philadelphia as they head into this key matchup, the divisional matchup this weekend. 1 win away from sewing up the top seed in the NFC at 13-1. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. Speaking of quarterbacks, tough news for the Titans. Sources confirming to ESPN Wednesday the Titans will very likely be without quarterback Ryan Tannehill for the remainder of the season. Right ankle injury that is likely to require surgery. He suffered the injury Sunday when Chargers linebacker Khalil Mack landed on his right foot on Tennessee's first offensive drive. Tannehill left the game, missed one offensive series, returned to the game with his ankle heavily taped. He did admit the pain was way up there on a scale of 1 to 10, now likely facing surgery. Cardinals quarterback Colt McCoy is out this week. He's still in the concussion protocol, won't play on Christmas night against Tampa Bay. Trace McSorley will get his first NFL start. Ravens quarterback Lamar Jackson did not practice on Wednesday, still dealing with his knee injury. ESPN's Jeff Darlington.
Lamar Jackson once again missed practice, his 8th consecutive practice, and this would be his 3rd game that he misses. The real problem here could be, though, that Tyler Huntley is also on the injury report with shoulder soreness. So if this is an injury that keeps Huntley down as well, they could look toward Anthony Brown, an undrafted rookie, to step in as the starter against the Falcons. So certainly not something that this Ravens team, that, by the way, is still clinging to the possibility of a postseason berth, needs at this point. Again, Huntley could wind up being in. Lamar Jackson hasn't been completely ruled out. But if neither of those guys can go, Anthony Brown, I guess they'll be looking for some of that Brock Purdy luck that the 49ers have found out west.
There's another quarterback who won't be playing again this week. Again, the Colts have benched quarterback Matt Ryan for a 2nd time this season. Ryan leads the NFL with 18 giveaways, so it'll be Nick Foles who gets the nod for Monday night's game against the Chargers. The move coming 4 days after the Colts blew that 33-point lead in the overtime loss at Minnesota. So it's unclear what the future will now hold for 37-year-old Matt Ryan. He is signed through next year, guaranteed $12 million of his $29 million salary for 2023. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. Franco Harris ran for more than 12,000 yards, won 4 Super Bowl rings with the Steelers in the 1970s. Obviously best remembered for the Immaculate Reception, where he took the ricocheted ball that was thrown by Terry Bradshaw and wound up in the end zone as the Steelers won their playoff game against the Raiders 50 years ago tomorrow. Ben Roethlisberger, remembering Franco Harris.
Woke up this morning with the sad news of the passing of Franco. So many times people say Franco was a legend, or a person was a legend. No, Franco is a legend and always will be. More than just on the football field, too. Such an unbelievable man, friend. So proud to be able to call him that. I'll never forget a time, I think it was at Charlie Batch's fundraiser event a long time ago. He and I got into a heated ping pong battle, both of us kind of going at it. One of those matches that like people kind of stopping or watching. And I'll never forget, every single time we saw each other, he would bring it up. Man, remember that ping pong game we played? And we need to do it again sometime. And so Franco always had a hug for people, always had a handshake, always had a smile. And I think for the legend that he is on the football field, I think his legend off the field is even bigger.
Ben Roethlisberger, Channel 7 on YouTube. Franco Harris, 4 Super Bowl rings. Much to be remembered for on the football field. But, of course, the play that he'll be most remembered for is, of course, the immaculate reception, which gave the Steelers their first playoff win. To the guys at PTI.
In honor of Franco Harris's passing, is the immaculate reception the most iconic NFL play in history?
I think it is, Tony. And we'll put it in context by mentioning a few others. I mean, you've got things like the catch, Montana to Clark. I mean, that David Tyree clutching the ball to his head, John Riggins' run on 4th down in the Super Bowl to beat Miami. John Elway in the helicopter at his age, whatever he was, 37, 38 years old, older. Malcolm Butler's interception in Music City Miracle. There's some good stuff out there, Tony. James Harrison in that interception in the Super Bowl. But, Tony, I think Franco Harris, in part, because we didn't know if it violated a rule back then where it couldn't deflect off an offensive player and go directly to another offensive player. NFL Films, the greatest thing of its kind ever, didn't get that one. They didn't get it to the point where you'd want to see it now, where you have conclusive evidence. So there's some mystery surrounding it. But, and it's Franco Harris, like the nicest guy in the short list of the nicest people to ever play in the NFL, just one of the best people. I think all of that contributes. I'm going to say yes, immaculate reception.
So you left one out that I know you know about.
What?
And we're not going to do any bad plays. These are just good plays.
Okay.
In the Ice Bowl.
Oh,
sneak
Jerry
behind
Kramer.
Jerry Kramer into the end zone. It's one of the 5 most famous ones of all time. Now, if this was college football, I got the Flutie game.
You were on the field for God's
I know what
sake.
I'm going
I
to say
hate
in
you for
college. I'm on literally in the end zone for that. But I'm going to tell you why it is the immaculate reception. And it has to do with what you said. The point of view of the camera in that is on Franco Harris's face.
Tight.
You can see his eyes. You can see his breath. You don't see him catch the ball, but you know, and to use your word, you know something mysterious has happened. And then he's gone to the end zone. It's not a view from the side. It's not a view from behind. There's no pylon cam. The mystery of it and the result of it is what makes it number one for me as well as for
Tony,
you.
they would throw a red flag. The opposing coach would challenge because there are those who say, Raiders, the tip of the ball touched the ground. And so they would at least review it, or at least if they had a red flag to throw, to say, wait a minute, is this play legit? Was that a clean reception? It wasn't clean, deflected reception. And they review that. Because in the time, you couldn't go from offensive player to offensive player with a tip ball. There's so much about it that is just great. So, yes, for these 2 old guys, all the rest of you, get off our lawn. It's Franco Harris.
Franco Harris was 72. Sports Center all night, ESPN Radio. Back to the NBA.
Here is Harrison Barnes straight away for 3. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. He knocks it down. Darvingham calling timeout, and he is a bit of a disgruntled and dejected head coach right now.
KHTK as the Kings beat the Lakers 134-120. LeBron 31 in the loss. Luka Doncic 25. Mavs beat the Timberwolves 104-99. Giannis Antetokounmpo season high 45, but the Bucks lose to the Cavs 114-106. Warriors allow 91 in the first half in Brooklyn Wednesday. They lose to the Nets by 30. They're shorthanded, playing without 5 rotational players, 3 starters. Not much light at the end of the tunnel yet either. They went 1-5 on their road trip, 3-16 on the road overall. They're heading back home for an 8-game homestand, and that homestand includes the Christmas Day matchup with the Grizzlies. Our Malika Andrews with John Morant.
John Morant has told us plenty of times, I want to be the best. Matter of fact, he references himself as him.
Here comes showtime. Morant. Oh, what a block from John Morant. It's insanity. On the floor, I can't win.
Ja, for the first time in franchise history, the Memphis Grizzlies are playing on Christmas Day. And I have to believe that it's partly you and partly your stardom that has catapulted you all to that spot. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot. Obviously, being a kid, big basketball fan, you grew up watching those Christmas Day games. And, now I actually have, a chance to play in it and Also, me and my teammates, making it the first time, in franchise history to play on that day is even more special.
Strength in numbers?
Strength in numbers, I guess. Nah, I ain't with the strength in numbers. I'm Grizz next gen.
Levitation Deluxe. He is worth every penny.
The young fella is having fun.
Who do you look at around the league as you're studying and say, we're going to have to run through them?
Celtics.
No one in the West.
Nah, I'm fine in the West.
Morant in transition. Oh, Ja Morant!
Ja, when you are looking to balance both being a dad to Kari, who comes to your games, but also saying, can you come to my recitals? What is that like for you?
I feel like that's more important to me than, being out there on the floor, being a father first. Kari is the reason, I wake up and, go and do what I do. And, being a dad, I feel like it's, the greatest thing in the world. Going to our first recital, you probably would have thought like I was in the recital, I was just nervous. I finally walked in and just was smiling. And when I seen her, get on the stage, it was even better. Like I didn't know how to react. I couldn't pull out my phone. I was just watching. Like I just was too much in the moment. But afterwards getting to see her, she ran up, gave me a hug. I knew she was excited. I was able to be there. And I know she understands, that I play basketball and I travel, I be on the road, but I know, her seeing me there, meant a lot to her. And it definitely did for me too.
Grizzlies Warriors Christmas Day, the back end of our NBA doubleheader here on ESPN Radio, which starts with Milwaukee and Boston, 4:30 Eastern time. Straight ahead, spending in New York. That's next. Sports Center all night. It's ESPN Radio.
Hi, this is Max Kellerman from Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. All of us here at ESPN Radio would like to wish you happy holidays and a happy new year.
More Sports Center all night. Next.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
Here's what I would say. Whether Mike White comes back and plays on Thursday or not, or whether Mike White plays at all again this year, Zach Wilson will be in a competition next spring into the summer. If it's Mike White or Baker Mayfield or whoever that's available, he won't walk into training camp as a clear-cut #1 quarterback like he did when they drafted him.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Weekday mornings at 8 a.m. on 98.7 ESPN.
That to-do list you have needs one more thing. Chill. It's an easy thing to do. Just crack open an ice-cold Coors Light and chill. Take the afternoon off and binge watch anything. Go to happy hour and stay for a couple hours. Who's counting anyways? Or hang out with just your dog because you've had enough human interaction this week. Whatever you do it with a Coors Light. Mountain cold refreshment made to chill. 2020 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Celebrate responsibly.
Anyone who has ever needed self-storage knows what a hassle it can be. You have to rent or borrow a truck and then find someone to help you move your stuff. And let's face it, moving furniture and heavy items without damaging them isn't easy. Renting the unit is worse. The hidden fees and admin costs are scary.